What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a new series that I am calling What's on My Mind. And it's really just my intrusive thoughts, a topic that basically I'm thinking about right now that's on my mind, that pertains to my life, and we'll see how it goes, all right? So welcome to What's on My Mind. Now, today I want to talk about something that is actually close to my heart and close to like who I am. And that is passability and the politics of passability as a trans woman. And it's interesting because what sparked this idea is it's something that like amongst my friends and like we talk about it, or we have had the conversation about. It doesn't like govern our lives, but it is something that we've talked about. And then I remember seeing this video on Instagram where this girl, this trans woman, was talking about like, well, what if being passable was never my goal? What if I told you that wasn't the goal? Take a look at this.
So what if I said I don't care if I look trans? What if I said that looking like a cis woman wasn't the goal? I know I don't look like a man, and insults only hurt when there's a little bit of truth to them, and I know that's not true. But what if I said I don't mind if you can tell that I'm a trans woman? What if? What if I said that I like looking visibly queer so that other queer people can spot me in public? What then? What then?
So now the reason that I wanted to talk about this after you've watched that video is it made me think about how trans people are viewed in this world and how there are sometimes, everybody out there who's trans knows this, like if you've ever like ran into someone, they think they're giving you a compliment sometimes and they'll say things like, oh girl, like I never would have known, or oh girl, you almost fooled me. Or guys will say, especially to trans women, like, you fooled me, as if our existence is to trick people, as if the goal is to be undetectable. And maybe that's true for a lot of girls, and maybe it was even true for me when I first started out. It was very much true for me when I first started out, if I'm being honest. But it's not my truth anymore, especially as someone who's a public figure and also as someone who just has lived my life as a trans woman for 20 years, almost 21 years, actually. I don't care about how you, like, I don't care about what you know. I care about how you treat me. And I think for most trans people, we just want, especially in this climate, in this world, and that's really one of the reasons that I want to talk about this, we just want to be left alone for the most part and honestly just live our lives through the world. But for a lot of people, they think that, you know, a lot of trans people existing is us trying to trick you, or we're trying to fool you, or we're trying to blend in with everybody. Now, I will say there are moments where there are people who, like trans people, who are trying to blend in mostly for their safety, or mostly just to not be bothered by people. Because as soon as someone spooks you, as soon as somebody clocks you, they are like, you become sometimes like an experiment, or they have all these questions or all these things. And some people just want to live their lives. They don't want to be the poster child for being trans. They don't want to talk about being trans on a daily basis. It is so funny to me because I'm talking about this on my channel right now. And if you follow this channel, you know that I really don't talk about this on my channel anymore a lot. And I kind of want to enter it, like, what word am I trying to use here? I want to kind of weave it back into the channel. Not that I want to spend a ton of time talking about being trans, because I say this all the time. On a list of things that are interesting about me being trans is the least interesting thing about me. However, it is a part of my life and my existence and my presence as a public figure. So I thought I might as well keep talking about it. And the interesting thing, though, is in my life, it's not a conversation that comes up every day in my life. It doesn't come up in my life with my friends. It doesn't come up in my career. It doesn't come up. Like, it's just like a fun fact about me, and sort of like you have blonde hair. It's like a fact like that. Like it's as not saying it's not significant. It's more of a, so what else is going on kind of thing, to quote Cynthia Bailey. But I just think sometimes people get so hung up on thinking that the most important thing for trans people, especially trans women, is the hair and the makeup and looking as soft and as feminine, as perfect as possible. And what if we told you that that wasn't the goal? Now what? Now what? Now what do you say? So that's why I love that video so much. What do you say now that, okay, I'm visibly trans and the goal for me is not trying to spend a ton of money to look a certain way, or maybe I don't have the money to just look a certain way, or maybe I don't, maybe I'm happy with just the way that I look right now. What if that's the possibility? What if having no surgery at all, never going on HRT is fine with me, and I'm just okay being visibly trans, but I still want you to respect me? Then what? And then the other thing is, I was talking about how, once someone knows that you're trans, even just like the most random person, even if somebody that you're not dating, because I will say that when it does come up in conversation in my life is if I'm meeting someone for the first time and just starting to date somebody, disclosure and all of that, and making sure that they're okay with me being trans. But, I will say there are times that, if I'm being honest, if I want to just not be bothered, or it probably just doesn't enter my brain like consciously, but like even like talking to someone and me and my friend Isis, we call it like, it's kind of like code switching, like, changing your voice a little bit to be a little bit lighter. Not that my voice is super deep, and honestly sometimes I don't even think about if I'm comfortable. I don't even care, to be quite honest. I think that we have got to get out of this whole notion of like trans people wanting to be passable, and if that's your thing, great. But, and you guys might say it's easy for you to say as someone who is considered passable. I think even the most passable girl gets spooked. Even the most passable girl gets somebody can figure it out, and maybe even if they don't, so what? So if you can tell someone is trans, okay, great. A lot of times there are people that feel like it's their business to tell people, or that trans people owe you to tell you that they're trans. Trans people don't owe you anything. We don't owe you shit at all. Ever. Nothing. We don't owe you anything. I like to disclose that I'm trans to someone that I am dating for the first time, but in life, we don't owe you shit. And I think because there has always been this thing of, back in the 90s when we were hidden and we just kind of walked amongst you, and we were just kind of integrated in and living stealthily and trying not to get spooked. So the goal was always to look as femme as possible. And I can only speak from a trans woman's perspective because I am a trans woman, and not from a trans man's perspective. So, maybe there's a trans man who's talking about this that you guys can talk to about it, but I'm going to speak from a trans femme perspective. I think that when I first started out, yes, it was the goal. And now it's just not anymore, especially in this climate where we're just integrated into society and we have a lot more things. We're a lot more visible, I should say. We're a lot more visible, as much as they're trying to take things away, and make us invisible, but we're just not going anywhere. And I think, it is sometimes for cisgender people, they think like, oh, these people are just, like we can tell, right? Oh, I knew. They think they're like solving a puzzle, or they're, I don't know, like they discovered something and they want to either use it to either like oppress you, or to try to like bring you down a peg, or to, I don't know. Maybe you guys can write in the comments what your views are, what you think that the reason that they do it. It's just insane to me. And, it can be, you got to be careful when you're doing that, because you can, I've talked to guys before, and someone said to me, did he know? Does he know? Does he know? Like, it like right in front, like they'll pull me aside. I've been in places before where I'm like, well, I'm just having a conversation with someone. Why does he need to know? I'm not going home with the man. I'm not even talking to him in a way that is even romantic. The Starbucks person doesn't need to know that I'm trans. You know what I mean? The person that I'm, even my clients that I'm making dresses for, they might know. It doesn't come up. in conversation. It never comes up in conversation. I think I might have had a conversation with Dr. Simone when I made her dress from Married to Medicine on Bravo. I think we had a conversation in depth because we were just talking as girlfriends. And if I want to open up about that, it's fine. But we don't owe you our personal business, what surgeries we have, what we're planning on doing, what we haven't had. Like all of these things, it's just not your business. And I think as a society, we have to get back to, I think in a world that overshares, people think that they deserve things and you just don't. I had someone recently ask me a question and said to me that they thought that because that people are just curious and that they deserve to know because of their curiosity, just out of curiosity, and I should not be offended. Now, the question was not about me, it was about someone else who is trans. And they just felt like they deserved to know. And they're like, well, people are curious, you shouldn't be that upset about it. I'm like, it's none of your business. If someone tells you it's none of your business, it's none of your business. Like, I don't understand that. And then the other thing that I want to talk about is, you know, there's this whole politics of passability, who's passable, who's not, who you can tell who's not, how the, you know, cisgender women are starting to look like the trans women, and now you can't tell, and all these type of things. The other thing that nobody ever wants to mention about this, and you know, people are always say, well, don't bring race into it. Race is very pertinent to this conversation because what we have noticed is that a trans Black woman has to be, it's the same kind of politics that for cisgender Black women. They have to go above and beyond. They have to be like the most passable. They have to be have to do all this work. And a trans white woman, and I'm not trying to cause division, but it's just the truth. A trans white woman can have, you know, a little bit of lipstick on and, you know, walk into and just, you know, a cute little dress on, and that's just about it. The trans Black woman has to have everything done. The lips have to be done. The boobs have to be done. The hips, the ass, all the stuff. Like facial feminization. All these things. It's like so crazy to me. It's like society will accept a trans white person who has basically like their first year out, their 2 months out, and just kind of got, you know. And it's like I'm not even someone that even talks about this on a regular basis in public, so this is kind of funny for me to even talk about, but this is just like an intrusive thought. Like I said, we have to be, as Black trans women, we have to be above and beyond, you know, in order to get the respect sometimes. And this is sometimes, not always, but it's just as a whole, this is something that a lived experience that I can tell you is definitely real. And if you talk to any trans Black woman, she will tell you just that. Even there's some white girls that'll tell you just that. They get a little more respect than the Black person who is trans, the Black woman who's trans. And I believe that we all deserve respect, no matter what we look like. If we look like the most pussy, beautiful, amazing, whatever, or if you look like what's considered a brick, you know, and if you look like what's considered like, and here's the thing, there are some cis women who look like a lot of the girls who are trans that are considered bricks, you know? And stop thinking that you know something that no one, unless somebody's told you, you know, it's just, I mean, I'm probably talking in circles right now, but this is just, like I said, this is just like, we're just talking here. I'm just talking here about what's on my mind, you know, passable versus not being passable. And I think I've done a video on my channel about this before, but I wanted to pose the question to you guys. What if being passable was not the goal? I will say for me now that I'm so seasoned in this person that I am, 20 years in, being passable is not the goal for me. I love the way that I look. I present the way that I present. But let's just be clear with you. Even before, and people that knew me before will tell you, even people in high school will tell you that before I transitioned, I looked pretty girly and I used to get mistaken for a girl all the time. And so it probably was a little bit easier for me. But for me, now, I mean, even as passable as some people think that I am, I still get spooked here and there. And I don't care about that. Like, I don't care if people, you know, and then even if they don't know who I am, for sure. But that's just not my goal anymore. And I think we've just, as trans people, we've moved past that, especially with the visibility that we have now. We've just moved past playing into the respectability politics And not just the respectability politics, but also, you know, that being the number one thing in the world. We're losing rights right now. You know what I mean? The government's trying to take everything away. The last thing on my mind is if my lashes aren't perfect enough that people will think that I am cis and leave me alone, or like, you know, be nicer to me because my lashes are perfect, or because my foundation is the right shade, or because I don't know, like whatever it is, you know, if I look soft enough, if I sound feminine enough, you know, that is for me right now. I will tell you, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I will say for me right now, that is the last of my goals, especially in this political climate where trans people are where they're trying to erase trans people. For me, maybe we might get to a point, you never know with the way things are going. We might get to a point where, you know, living stealthily might have to be the goal. I mean, it's a little too late for me right now, especially as a public figure, but I mean, and for a lot of my friends too. But we may get to the point where it is a big part of our safety. And for a lot of people, depending on where you live, you know, maybe not in a major city, but in a lot of places that you're watching from, it might be looking as femme presenting as possible as a trans woman, especially a Black trans woman. It's very important that you're passable simply because for your safety. But I think as a society, we need to move past this whole thing of like, she has to have the right this, even for, I mean, listen, for even cisgender women, even for cis women, for biological women, whatever you want to call it, is everything perfect? Is her butt big enough? Is her hips wide enough? Is her boobs big enough? Does she look soft enough? Whatever. Respect people, you know, respect people and stop thinking that anybody owes you anything. And that's just kind of what is on my mind right now. And I just wanted to share that with you. Drop down in the comments and let me know what you think. Maybe you agree with me. Maybe you don't agree with me. You know, a lot of times you guys don't agree with me. It's okay. You can write that in there too. It's fine. Please be respectful and be respectful of other people in the comments too. And I'd love to know what you think. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And I promise you in the next video, you guys are going to get behind the scenes of the RHOP reunion, getting Monique Samuels ready for that in New York. But I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.